In a world with an iron chair, a lot of people die. The war against the White Walkers is near and winter is finally here. Let's take a quick look at the story before Game of Thrones Season 7. I am the Old Tin Man, and if you are new to my channel, consider subscribing to find more Game of Thrones content. Click the bell icon to be notified when I publish a new analysis video. I also want to welcome everyone to jump into the comments section down below to continue the Game of Thrones discussion. Thank you everyone for watching. The series starts off in the world of Game of Thrones, a land of fantasy. A place where many noble families, each represented with a sigil, usually of their favorite animal, are spread across two fictional continents, Westeros and Essos. The story starts with House Stark at their homeland, Winterfell, the most satisfied moment in Stark history. The House of Eddard and Catelyn Stark are visited by King Robert Baratheon and his army of fun, mainly consisting of Lannister folk. We find out that Tyrion Lannister will from that day forward be one of our favorite characters. Cersei Lannister, Robert's wife, doesn't really love him but loves to get down and dirty with her brother Jaime. Too bad for little Bran Stark. He saw the sexual incest secrets of the siblings, so he had to be pushed out a window and hurt his little legs. Catelyn, Bran's mom, freaks the out. Let's go back to Robert, a man in control of all of Westeros and its 7 kingdoms, so he gets to do what he wants when he wants. In this case, he wanted to make Ned the Hand of the King, the most powerful appointed position in the 7 kingdoms. Ed was like, sure dude, I really don't wanna, but I'll keep that to myself. Sansa is so excited that she gets to marry Joffrey, OMG. So most of the Starks return back with the king to the capital of Westeros, King's Landing. Jon Snow, bastard son of Eddard, joins the Night's Watch, a place where men dressed in black keep the wildlings and White Walkers out of Westeros. Jon loves it there and makes tons of cool new friends. Anyways, back at King's Landing, Ed finds out that all the kids that Robert said were his are not actually his. They are both Cersei and Jaime's love children. Remember, they are both brother and sister. Ed tries to reach out to Robert with the news, but Robert decided it's time to die. Robert assigns Ed as the newly appointed king, but Cersei is like, nah son, my son Joffrey has got it from here. Joff announces off with his head, and Eddard now sits on a spike. Let's take a quick moment of the silence for dead Ned. Over the sea at Essos, we find Daenerys Targaryen, one of the last of the Targaryen family, along with her strange brother Viserys. Both Dany and her brother want to return back to Westeros and take their rightful place on the Iron Throne. Oh yeah, there's a throne made of swords that everybody wants to sit on. Viserys forces Dany to marry strong Khal Drogo, a man who has tons of people who ride horses on his side. Now they can head for King's Landing, but Viserys gets all weird and sassy, so Khal decides to top him off with a caramel drizzle to feed to his horsemen. Dany totally fell for Drogo, although Drogo fell for death. So she weeps and gave birth to 3 cute dragons. On to Season 2. Robb Stark, son of Eddard, gets super pissed at the Lannisters and Joffrey for killing his daddy. He gathers an army to snap the kid's head off his shoulders, although not everyone approved of his actions. Robb was promised to one of Walder Frey's daughters, but he fell in love with some girl he just met. That made Walder sad. But Robb doesn't care about an old man like Walder. What's he gonna do, sick Mrs. Norris on him, am I right? Am I right, Harry Potter? Alright. He's got everything. A sweet new wife, a cool mom, and Jaime Lannister as a prisoner. Theon Greyjoy heads to his home back at the Iron Islands, but his dad is so not happy with him. So Theon leaves and goes back to Winterfell and captures it to prove to his dad that he is totally son material. Unfortunately, the Stark boys, Bran and Rickon, run out of his grasp. At this time, Theon tries to act cool, but his troops are seriously not into it, so they knock him out and give him to Ramsay, a monster bastard. Both Bran and Rickon head north towards the wall, but split up along the way. Old King Robert's brothers, Stannis and Renly, act like 5-year-olds fighting over the Iron Throne like a Happy Meal toy. Stannis tells his new girlfriend Melisandre that he really wants the Iron Throne, real bad. So she gives birth to a baby adult devil child that kills Lord Renly. Now that Stannis is happy, he sails to King's Landing to claim the throne, where he fails. Arya Stark, who escaped King's Landing, heads to Winterfell, but gets captured by some Lannisters to mix up her game. She encounters Jaqen H'ghar here, who promises 3 death wishes to her. Instead, she wishes to leave her captivity with the Lannisters, which he grants. She was like, whoa, thanks. After leaving her imprisonment, Jaqen offers her to join his sick gang, the Faceless Men. Arya stood her ground and knew she was too young to follow strangers home, but maybe later. He was like, cool, alright. Dany with her newborn babies heads to the wonderful vacation resort of Karth, where she hopes to find some cool dudes to join her ranks. While soaking up the sun at Karth, a skinny tall dude that looks like death asks if he can have her dragons. Dany is all like LOL, but the guy steals them anyway while she's not looking. Now Dany doesn't like being embarrassed in front of her friends, so she commands the dragons to burn the dude, take all their money, and ditch the place. Above the wall, Bastard Jon makes his way to help some important duties with the Lord Commander. During a scouting mission with his friend Corrin, they get caught up with a couple of wildlings. They get captured, like everyone else in the series, and Corrin tells Jon that he must gain the trust of these wildling folk, so Jon needs to kill Corrin. After killing his friend, he tells the wildling that he thinks that being in the Night's Watch is so last week. Although Jon Snow knows nothing, Ygritte finds him pretty cute, so she believes him. Oh yeah, the army of dead are slowly making their way down south. We continue to Season 3, where Catelyn Stark commands Brienne of Tarth to send Jaime to King's Landing, and hopes to get her daughters back from the Lannisters. Guess what happens? They get captured and Jaime got his hand cut off because he was being sassy. After a fight with a bear, they finally get back to King's Landing, so Jaime can kiss his lovely sister Cersei once again. Although there's a lot of drama in the Lannister family. As Tywin is in control as the new Hand of the King, he demands marriage from all of his kids. Cersei starts to make a scene because her true love belongs to Jaime, but her dad said if she keeps complaining, he'll make her marry someone ugly. Tyrion makes plans and sends Marcel Baratheon to Dorne to forge an alliance through marriage with House Martell, a neutral party in this war. Cersei's upset level is through the roof at this point. Arya moves further north, and apparently she is an easy target because she gets captured once more by a lone group called the Brotherhood Without Banners. Soon after that, Sandor Clegane comes out of nowhere and steals her to his captivity, who is looking to give her up for ransom. Over the wall to Jon Snow, he meets with Mance Rayder, leader of the Free Folk and Misfit Toys. Mance allows Jon to be under supervision, and has him come along with them into their fight against the Night's Watch. Knowing nothing, Jon goes up the wall with Goldbeard and the gang, hoping to gain their trust. Below the wall, the warg within their group still believes Jon is with the Night's Watch, and gets the others to mistrust him as well. Ygritte is like, "What the hell, dude?" In which Jon replies, "Later, babe." Jon escapes and returns back to Castle Black, covered in Ygritte's arrows. At the Twins, Walder Frey sets up a fake wedding to trick Robb and his family, because Walder is still upset with Robb for not committing. Unfortunately, Robb carries the trait of knowing nothing, just like his stepbrother Jon. Catelyn, Robb, and his pregnant wife get brutally murdered to death. Moment of silence. Over the Narrow Sea, Dany enters Astapor in search for a bigger army. She liberated Astapor. Dany enters Yunkai in search for a bigger army. She liberated Yunkai. Season 4 starts with a strong opening. Joffrey dies and the Hound can't get enough chicken. Cersei blames Tyrion for Joffrey's death and places him in a jail cell. During this time, Sansa is like, "I'm out of here," and leaves King's Landing with Joffrey's fool. She is taken to Littlefinger, the man who planned Joffrey's poisoning. Peter shows his affection towards her and they head to the Eyrie, home of House Arryn. Littlefinger's secret lover, Lysa Arryn, is excited to see him, but he is totally donezo with her now that he has Sansa, so he pushes her down a hole. Now that Littlefinger broke it off with Lysa, both him and Sansa leave the Eyrie. Dany once again goes to liberate yet another city, this time the great city of Meereen. After taking the city, the townsfolk think her dragons are scary looking, so she chains them in her basement. Although Brienne of Tarth doesn't have Catelyn to follow anymore, she still intends to find her daughters and lead them to safety. During her search, she finds the Hound and Arya. The Hound won't give up Arya, so Brienne and him battle for the little girl. The Hound loses. Hiding from Brienne, Arya makes her way to find Jaqen H'ghar and his gang, the Faceless Men. Back at Castle Black, Jon informs the Night Watch of the Wildling assault. Not everyone believes him, but who really cares about those idiots? The Wildlings reach the Night's Watch, and the Battle of Castle Black begins. During the battle, Ygritte and Jon lock eyes, making a romantic sequence. Until orphan boy Ollie ruins everything and shoots Ygritte. I have never hated an orphan until I saw this. The Wildlings are pushed back and Jon negotiates with Mance Rayder. Out of the blue, Stannis' army jumps into the mix and ambushes the Wildlings. Jon facepalms and asks if Stannis can arrest Mance instead of executing him. Back at King's Landing, Joffrey's younger brother Tommen is declared the new king of the throne. Tyrion has a trial where he demands trial by combat instead. Prince Oberyn Martell tells Tyrion that he can take his place, while Tywin, Tyrion's dad, says nobody can beat his challenger, the Mountain. Instead of fighting, Oberyn dances around a little, and in turn the Mountain takes out his eyes. Tywin says, "Told ya, time to die." Jaime helps Tyrion out of his cell, in which Tyrion makes a detour to his dad's chambers. He finds his hoe Shay laying in his father's bed, where Tyrion says "no you ain't" and kills her. Tyrion shoots his dad and tells him to suck it. He soon leaves Westeros on a boat with Varys. We enter season 5 with Jaime and Cersei upset that their daughter Marcella is being loved on by a prince in Dorne, so Jaime goes to get her back. Illyria Sand gives Jaime back his daughter, but poisoned her to get revenge for the death of her husband Oberyn Martell, Tyrion's dancing champion in the last season. Marcella dies in the hands of Jaime on the boat back to King's Landing. Talking about King's Landing, a savage religious group forms here, under the name of the Sparrows. The High Sparrow, leader of this group, is appointed the new High Septim by Cersei. Cersei hints to the High Sparrow that both Sir Loras Tyrell and his sister Margaery Tyrell, who is the new queen to King Tommen, are really bad people. The High Sparrow imprisons the siblings. Unfortunately, due to Cersei's love of incest, the High Sparrow takes her in as well. Thankfully, she just needs to walk the streets naked, which she loved doing, by the way. Littlefinger brings Sansa to her old home at Winterfell, which is now controlled by House Bolton. Ramsay Bolton, a crazed lunatic man-boy, is to marry Sansa, which was Peter's plan since the start. Theon Greyjoy, a man with no honor, is now clarified as Reek and serves Ramsay's every need. After Sansa and Ramsay marry, Theon and Sansa hop out of the hellhole. Stannis Baratheon does a whole lot of bad things this season. He executes Mance Rayder, sacrifices his daughter which leads to his wife leaving him, and storms Winterfell, losing his whole army. At least he dies. Tyrion eventually finds his way to Essos and meets Jorah Mormont, who is on a bad breakup from Dany at the moment. The two travel together and get into many troubles. They become slaves, and Mormont gets bitten by a stone zombie guy. They get to Meereen, Dany's new home, where they find that she is being targeted for assassination. Jorah saves Dany, but instead of falling in his arms, Dany jumps on the back of Drogon and ditches the assassination party. A Dothraki army captures her. Both Jorah and Daario go out looking for her to prove their love to her. Tyrion governs Meereen until Dany's return. Now that Arya is a member of the Faceless Men, she trains to be just like them. But instead of listening to them, she breaks the rules and murders someone from her list. Jaqen H'ghar, at this point, puts her eyes in timeout. Jon the Bastard Snow, man of kindness, tries to reason with the Night's Watch to let the wildlings pass the wall to safety, away from the White Walkers. Nobody likes the idea, but they allow it. Unfortunately for Jon, everyone and their mother took a turn to stab him, especially stupid little orphan boy Ollie. Don't worry, he will burn in hell soon enough. Season 6 starts with Ollie burning in hell. It got to this point because Melisandre revived Jon Snow, and because Jon is back, he is able to kill all the bastards that betrayed him last season. Night night, Ollie. At this point, Jon retires from the Night's Watch, as his watch has ended. Sansa and Theon escape Winterfell and team up with Brienne, where she promises Sansa's protection. While sad Theon decides to head back to his family at the Iron Islands, Sansa is brought back to Castle Black where she is reunited with Jon. Jon and Sansa both decide to attack Madman Ramsay back at Winterfell and take back the north. Ramsay is like, "I'll eat you if you come closer." After that conversation, Ramsay plays a game with Rickon, Sansa's little brother, where he shoots him with an arrow. The Battle of the Bastards begins. Thankfully, Jon wins against Ramsay from the help of the Knights of the Vale. Ramsay is eaten by his cute little doggies and the Starks hold Winterfell. Arya gets her sight back after being polite and for listening. She soon decides that she's learned enough from these nincompoops, so she kills them. She returns to Westeros and kills Walder Frey for being such a pain in everyone's ass. Over the wall, Bran makes his way to a tree that allows him to look into the past, to a time where Ned was young, and not Sean Bean. He finds out that his stepbrother Jon was actually the son of Ned Stark's sister, who died with the hopes that Ned would take care of the baby. In King's Landing, Cersei wants revenge and guns for the High Sparrow. She positions him along with key members of House Tyrell at the Great Sept where she blows it sky high, killing everyone that attended. Tommen gets madly depressed due to the death of his wife Margaery, and jumps out of the Red Keep Tower. At this point, Cersei positions herself as Queen of the Seven Kingdoms, and controller of the realm. Back east, Dany is being treated like a Dothraki slave, but she easily kills all the Khals and makes her escape. The last of that Dothraki army was so impressed that they follow her and help her fight the slavers out of Meereen. After her return to Meereen, she is approached by what is left of the good side of House Greyjoy, Theon and his sister Yara. After forming an alliance, the Tyrell and Martell houses join in to take revenge of the Lannister family. Dany and her alliances make their way across the Narrow Sea towards Westeros. And that's it for the story before Game of Thrones Season 7. Thank you for watching, and if you want further Game of Thrones videos, let me know in the comments section down below. What seasons did you guys enjoy more? Take a look at my analysis playlist on other shows and games, such as Twin Peaks and Death Stranding. Thank you again, and I'm looking forward to hearing from you.